Guess what? I managed to get us tickets for that New Year's Eve party you were so excited about. Oh, good. I wonder what I've got in the closet that'll be good and fancy. Oh no. No way. We do not have time to make a new dress for this. You haven't even seen the design yet. It doesn't matter. It would be wasteful to make a new dress for just one party. But you could wear it for a historical costume too. I hardly ever get to wear my historical party clothes, and I'm running out of space in the costume closet. What if I said you could wear it as a new costume and add it to one of your other historical dresses, and it wouldn't take up much space, and it only has 4 seams? Okay, fine. Tell me what you're thinking. So I've got to blame this one partially on Courtney of Opus Eleni, who I'm sure will say, I'm not sorry. While I was visiting her for War of the Rams last month, she gifted me something she'd made on her channel, a piece of dark green silk tablet weaving with gold threads worked into it. It is gorgeous, and she is the best. And of course, my brain being what it is, I went, but what if I made a whole new dress to go with it? Enter my New Year's Eve dress, also inspired by one of Courtney's videos. Highly recommend having friends who are this inspiring. Courtney suggested wearing this in my hair, which made me think of some hairstyles inspired by classical Greek and Roman imagery. So the dress is also loosely, mind I say loosely, based on that imagery. And like a lot of garments from those settings, it's made of 2 rectangles and super simple to construct. But I will be able to wear this at least 3 ways: as a modern party dress, as part of a historically adequate ancient Roman outfit, and as part of a Regency period dress. I'll show you all of that at the end. I gotta make the dress first. Hey, don't you dare turn that camera off yet. Oh, right. Subscribe for more harebrained costuming nonsense because we do a surprising amount of that around here. And if you want bonus fun stuff like my research notes, pattern diagram, and access to a very cool new thing I'm gonna talk about later in the video, get thee to my Patreon. I swear, you are the worst content creator ever. I have to do all the real work around here. Look, I've literally spent the last 3 months fighting off a lung infection. Cut me some slack. I am not kidding about the lung infection, by the way. That's why I've been so offline recently. My doctors checked me out thoroughly and it wasn't the plague, but I've been spending a lot of time flopped on the couch, not feeling well enough to concentrate on much at all. Thankfully, I was able to do something rewarding with all that downtime with the help of this video's sponsor, Mistplay. Mistplay is a loyalty app for mobile gamers that helps you discover new games in all sorts of genres. Everything from simple word games to adventure and strategy. When you play a new game on Mistplay, you can earn reward points to redeem for gift cards to Google Play, PayPal, Spotify, and lots more brands. Over 60 million in gift cards have already been redeemed. I'm going to put mine towards supporting my audiobook habit. I like games that don't rely on reaction time or complicated controls, and I also like adorable baby dragons, so Merge Dragons was an obvious choice. You move objects around to restore land damaged by an ecological disaster, and only a few of the levels have time limits. For something even easier on the concentration, I like Tile Master, which is a different match 3 with tiles arranged in layers, and they vanish when you match them. There's a tiny bit of strategy, but not enough that it feels complicated or like I need to worry about messing up. Visit mistplay.com/snappydragon or click the link in the description to download Mistplay for free. You'll get 200 bonus points for signing up today, plus use my code inside the app to get an additional 50 free points, which will help towards redeeming your first gift card. See description for full details. If I let her keep playing, not only will she stop interrupting us, she might actually earn her keep. So the dress that I am most inspired by here is called the stola, and it's shaped something like this. It's made of 2 rectangles sewn together into a tube, with the seams at center, front, and back, and brooches at the shoulders to hold it up. Based on some very cursory research, it seems that this was an ancient Roman style of dress worn by married women to show their social status. I knew I wanted to make it out of silk chiffon and was nervous about holding it together with brooches since the fabric is so delicate, so I'm gonna go for a slightly different construction method. 2 rectangles, yes, but instead of being the full fabric width, made using a horizontal cut, I'm going to divide the fabric the long way, with each long piece draped over the shoulder and sewed together at the sides as well as the front and back. Then, depending on my preferences, I can either gather the shoulders with decorative clasps or let them drape into little sleevelets. The fabric I got for this is a silk crinkle chiffon. It's got these decorative wrinkles woven into the texture parallel to the selvage. You can iron them smooth, but as soon as the fabric gets wet, they'll crinkle right back up again. I wasn't planning on a crinkle texture, but this was on a really good sale, and I think I'll like the effect a lot. I chose how much to order based on my height. Twice my desired dress length, so shoulder to floor times 2 for my design. If it's a narrow fabric, or you are a broad person, or you just want a lot of fullness, you can get 4 times your shoulder to floor measurement and use the full width of the fabric for each side. I'm tiny and going for more cling, less fullness, so I'm good with 3 yards. The only cut I need to make is dividing the piece in a straight line down the middle. For a lot of fabrics, you can just make a small cut and then tear it, which will get you a perfectly on-grain line. However, sometimes on delicate materials or materials with a printer design woven in, the tension on the threads disrupts the design and it's better to cut. I wasn't sure how it would go with the crinkle texture, so I tore a small section. It smoothed the texture slightly, but only right next to the torn edge, which will actually make it easier to finish that raw edge. And the texture comes right back when I wet it, so we're good to go. I never totally trust fabric stores to cut something perfectly straight off the bolt, so I'm just gonna go and clean up the cross-grain edges now too, so the hems will be even. Silk chiffon is notoriously prone to fraying, so instead of sewing the dress and then finishing edges, I'm just gonna hem every single raw edge now. The nice part of this design is that I've still got the selvage, so I only have to do 1 long side plus the 2 short sides on each piece. I complain a lot about rolled hem feet, but for this, they really are the best tool for the job. They don't do all the work for you, but they do make it so much easier. Roughly 9 yards of hemming later, the pieces are ready to assemble. First, I gotta take some measurements. How low I want the neckline to be, which will determine what size of a gap I leave in the center, front, and back seams. How high I want the underarm seams to come up, which I might adjust after making the dress for easy movement. And for further ease of movement, and because this is a modern party dress and no one can stop me, I'm gonna leave the skirt side seams open to mid-thigh height or so, and the center front and back seams open to the knee. Once I know where I want those seams to start at the neckline and underarm, I can measure from there down to where I want them to end. I'm going to align the short edges and pin the 2 selvages together to be the center, front, and back seams according to the distance I measured. Then I'll pin each of those outer long hemmed edges to itself, the same piece, starting at the underarm and continuing down as far as I measured. I could try it on and check the fit, but I'm pretty confident in my measurements. It'll be easy to change if something's not quite right, and it's full of pins, so I'm just gonna go for it. And it's done. No, really. That's it. That's all the construction. It's finished. If I wanted to wear the shoulders as draped sleevelets, I could just throw it on and tie a belt around it. But I do want to gather them up to be more like straps. I got these pretty rose-shaped buttons that I want to put at the shoulders, but with a single shank, I can't sew them on easily. So I'm just gonna cut the shanks off. I'm gonna hot glue these little pin backs onto the de-shanked buttons. Since these pins won't be weight-bearing, I'm okay with using them on a delicate fabric. Gather up the fabric around the shoulders, and there we go. So, remember I said I was going to talk about a very cool new thing later in the video? Well, later is now. After wanting to do this for well over a year, I have finally set up a Snappy Dragon Discord server where we can all actually talk to each other, share pet pictures, and gush about our sewing projects. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's a social but not social media app that's like a cross between a group chat and a message board. It's a great way to find and build community. I've had amazing real-life friendships come out of meeting or getting to know people on Discord servers. Like any online community, though, it takes management to stay healthy, and well, there are more than 90,000 of you. My goodness. I have an amazing moderator team as well as myself who will work to make sure this server stays a good place to hang out and is welcoming to everyone but bigots. But this does take work. So in order to compensate people for that work, I've set up a new tier on my Patreon for $1 a month to join the Snappy Dragon Discord. Head over to the link in the corner or down in the description to join, and I can't wait to see you over there. But now that I've kept you a captive audience for that little announcement, let's go see the dress. So I said this could be a modern party dress, part of a historically adequate Roman period outfit, or part of a Regency dress. Let's do a little lookbook thing. Of course, I have Courtney's headband in my hair since that's what started all this, though it'll be a slightly different hairstyle for each. For the New Year's Eve party, I can wear the dress over black dancewear underlayers if I want more coverage, or light colored ones or a slip if I want to show off the fabric's sheerness. The belt is just a length of ribbon, but I do have a new bit of tablet weaving on my ankle loom that I might have finished to wear by New Year's. I like to tie it like this, starting behind me at the underbust, crossing in front, and then knotted in the back at my waist. Add some dramatic sparkly makeup, and I am all ready to welcome in 2024. For a more Roman period outfit, I'll start with a different underlayer. This chiton is made out of a length of white linen that used to be a duvet cover before my friend's cats clawed holes in it, hence the raw edges. It's folded in half and pinned in a few places down each arm to create sleeves. I want to be clear that this outfit is based on very quick and dirty research into a period I don't know much about, based primarily on other people's SCA documentation. So please do not take this as a solidly correct representation of anything. Crinkle gauze isn't period to begin with, so we're going for vibes here. Although you can find my sources on my Patreon. Once this is all pinned, I'll overlap the two open edges and tie a plain belt around the waist just to hold it. The green silk dress goes over the chiton and can be belted in all sorts of ways. Same as before, just under the bust, or a more complicated tie with a longer belt. In ancient Rome, the stola was a garment for married women, which I am not, but I'm also not in ancient Rome, so I do what I want. My hair is all the way up, although I've still got the decorative headband from Courtney. And if I am going for more historical elements, I drape a large veil called a palla around my head and my shoulders like so. Okay, but how does this make it to the Regency period? Well, the early Regency or Directoire fashion was obsessed with the neoclassical aesthetic and loved taking inspiration from ancient Greek and Roman styles. It's part of why simple white cotton dresses were so popular around 1800. But they can get pretty boring, so both Regency folks and modern costumers like to spice them up with colorful accessories, underlayers, and overlayers. I'll start with my Regency underwear. Plain white chemise, short stays, the historical equivalent of the push-up bra, and cotton stockings. A petticoat goes over all this, although Regency petticoats had to have bodices or straps to hold them up to the high empire waist. Over that goes the white dress in fine cotton lawn with absolutely no adornment. This was, I think, my second historical dress ever, and to this day, I don't love trim, so I kept it really plain. This also has drawstrings to fit, making it conveniently adjustable in size. Now I can wear the green silk dress over this and tie the belt under the bust with long tails hanging down. I'm ready for a Regency ball, and not about to get mistaken for any of the other myriad people in white cotton dresses. So, Pajama V kept her promise. Here we have a dress for a fancy New Year's party that I could make in a day, wear for not just one, but two historical costumes, and will fold up super small to store. Which is your favorite? Have you got a historical piece you like to wear to modern parties? Tell me about it in the comments. While you're there, click the button to tell YouTube you liked what you saw, subscribe for more multifunctional fashion content, and ring the bell if you want to maybe sometimes get notifications when I post a new video. You can find me around the internet at Miss Snappy Dragon on Instagram, Facebook, and very rarely TikTok. Happy holidays to you all. Now, I'm gonna go work on that tablet weaving so I can actually wear it on New Year's.